This is an article from the Liverpool Echo, Wednesday, February the 13th. It's entitled, "A Fair Shame Cop Escapes Rap from Force." A Merseyside police officer who used forced cars to drive a woman he was having an affair with around town has avoided any disciplinary action. The officer, who has not been named, also told the woman sensitive information about ongoing criminal cases and would go to meet her in police vehicles. Despite evidence proving his shameful misconduct, the police officer was never formally disciplined, but instead, Merseyside Police used management action, which the Independent Office for Police Conduct, IOPC, defines as a non-disciplinary action. As a result of his misconduct, the force had to review the way officers access keys for police vehicles. The woman had alleged the pair had sex while he was on duty and that he was claiming overtime for days when he had spent time with her during his shift. However, those claims were disproved during the investigation. During the investigation, the woman provided evidence of their relationship from June 2017 through records she kept on her phone and computer. Mobile phone data was also looked at, and the officer and his colleagues were interviewed as part of the investigation. Based on the evidence, the IOPC found there was a case for misconduct by the officer in relation to disclosing sensitive information and improper use of police vehicles. In a statement, they said, "We were also of the opinion that the officer may have a case to answer for misconduct for using police vehicles to conduct his relationship with the woman and to transport her during the time they had an affair, and for disclosing to her information regarding ongoing criminal and misconduct investigations." Detective Superintendent Dave McCorkrian, Merseyside Police, said, "We received a complaint of unprofessional conduct which was referred to the IOPC. The IOPC concluded that the officer concerned had a case to answer for misconduct in relation to inappropriate use of police vehicles and disclosure of information. This has been dealt with through management action by way of advice and a written improvement plan which remains ongoing. Merseyside Police demands the highest possible standards from its officers and staff. The public also, quite rightly, have a high expectation of our officers, and Merseyside's police is committed to meeting those expectations. The vast majority of officers who work for Merseyside Police do a really good job day in and day out and serve our communities with compassion, integrity and professionalism." The IOPC said on their website, the force also identified learning, including a review of procedures around management of police vehicles, keys.
The year 2018 was officially the second sunniest on record. The latest Met figures show that there were 1,581 hours of sunshine recorded in 2018. That figure beats the 1,566 hours clocked in 1995, previously the second sunniest year, bumping it to third position. The year 2003 is still the sunniest year on modern record, although only just. That year, there were 1,587 hours of sunshine. The figures were first recorded in 1929. May was the sunniest month in 2018, and with 246 hours of sunshine recorded, it is also the sunniest May on record. By contrast, December was the dullest month, with only 38 hours of sunshine. Although May was the sunniest month, it was by no means the warmest.
It's an article from Liverpool Echo, Friday, February the 8th. Hospital work gets underway. Construction work has begun at the Liverpool Women's Hospital to upgrade and improve its neonatal unit, and even the youngest members of the team turned out to mark the occasion. A groundbreaking event took place as the diggers moved in, with a number of neonatal families attending, meeting each other for the first time and sharing experiences. Guests were also able to look at the visuals to see how the state-of-the-art development will look when it's complete. Liverpool Women's announced in December 2017 that £15 million funding to improve and upgrade its existing neonatal unit was approved. This event marked the start of the main phase of construction for the exciting project, which is scheduled to be completed in 2020. Andrew Loughney, Medical Director, said, "Each year, over 1,000 families accompany their premature and critically ill babies to our neonatal unit. As a specialist trust, a high proportion of the babies we care for face the most severe medical challenges. These are our most vulnerable patients who need the best possible care available. This exciting redevelopment will address the shortage of parental accommodation and will allow the unit to better comply with service specifications."
Tuesday's Echo, February the 12th, entitled "Stories Behind the Names of City Icons." Have you ever wondered how the buildings you walk past in Liverpool every day got their names? The clue is in the name for many, and yes, some really are that obvious, but they still have a fascinating past that you might not know much about. Many of Liverpool's most famous buildings are named for their glorious past or the purpose they were originally intended for. The Cotton Exchange in the business district is a good example of this, as well as Sefton Park's Palm House. Other buildings were named for kings and queens, or the benefactors who made it possible for them to be built. More recently, new buildings in the city bear the names of the great and the good, and many university developments are a good example of this. Walker Art Gallery. In 1873, Liverpool brewer Andrew Barclay Walker offered to present a gallery to Liverpool to commemorate his term as mayor, donating £20,000 towards the project. Liverpool Museum says he was not known as a collector of art, but gave generously to good causes, and his offer may have been to improve the public image of brewing and alcohol. The Isle of Gladstone Conservatory. The traditional Victorian conservatory in Stanley Park is named in honour of a granddaughter-in-law of the Victorian Prime Minister William Gladstone. Isla, who died in 1987 at the age of 82, married into the Gladstone family in the 1920s. She was a student in Liverpool and after raising a family began a career as a designer of fabrics and wallpaper. Redmond's Building. The Liverpool John Moores University building on the corner of Brownlow Hill and Clarence Street opened in 2012. It was built on the site of the 1960s Clarence Street Tower, demolished in 2010, and is named for TV producer Phil Redmond and his wife Alexis. The Blue Coat. The famous Centre for the Arts began life as a school, which is where its name comes from. Work on the building began in 1716 after the Blue Coat School was founded by Reverend Robert Stith, rector of Liverpool, and Brian Blundell, master mariner. The school was to be a place where poor children could learn to read, write and cast accounts, and its name is derived from blue, being the colour of giving and charity. The original school uniform was also blue. Exchange flags. The name of the square and the U-shaped building in Liverpool's business district is linked to the city's slave trading past. It was where the merchants of the city, including slave traders, carried out their business and exchanged a form of business card, hence the name. Cotton traders and brokers were among those meeting on exchange flags to do their buying and selling. Goodison Park. Everton Stadium is named for the road the stadium was constructed on, but there's also a name behind the name.
The road itself was named for George William Goodison, a city engineer with an expertise at planning trenches for sewage pipes. He later moved to the Lake District before returning to Liverpool later in life, eventually retiring to the Cotswolds. The Rigby Buildings. The Rigby Buildings on Dale Street, housing the popular Thomas Rigby's pub, are named for Alderman Thomas Rigby. He made a fortune from pubs and bought the building, originally the Atherton Buildings, in 1852. The medieval-style frontage was added in 1865. And lastly, I.M. Marsh Buildings. The Liverpool John Moore University campus buildings were named for Irene Mabel Marsh, who started a revolution in physical education. She taught women's classes for Liverpool YMCA and later established her own college, becoming an expert in hisiology, kinesiology, pathology and educational methods. The university credits her with leading the way in the development of physical education, training and teaching during the 20th century.
This is an article from the Liverpool Echo of Monday, February the 11th. Work has started on a controversial plan to transform open green space in Liverpool city centre. Fencing has been put around Bixteth Street Gardens in the city's commercial district as work start to prepare it for large development scheme. The Pall Mall project will see a number of office buildings constructed and the gardens will cease to exist in their current form, though the council say it will be more than replaced as part of the construction project. Full planning permission for the scheme hasn't been granted yet, but the council's planning committee gave the go-ahead last week for contractors Kia and CTP to start work to prepare the site for construction. The plans were opposed by Green and Lib Dem groups and the area's Labour ward councillors. More than 1,750 people also signed a petition against the plans, and shouts of shame were aimed at City Planning Committee members last week when they approved the first stage of plans. The area has been mainly empty since the closure of Liverpool Exchange Station on the site in 1977. Developers claim high-quality, open public space will double the number of trees will be created as part of the scheme, which will eventually see multiple blocks built. And City Mayor Joe Anderson has also tried to underline the importance of the Grade A office space that will be created by the development. Speaking after the decision, Mayor Anderson said, "The proposed Pall Mall scheme is of huge importance to the development of our commercial districts, as we need to attract companies and highly skilled jobs in the city. Judging by the designs, it would set a new benchmark for our open spaces and help shame the wider development of the district." But Ward Councillor Nick Small said the planning committee's backing was a bad decision and said he was deeply disappointed. A full planning application for the site is due to come in later this year.
Given 28 days to find new homes. A struggling Liverpool care home has confirmed it will close this month because the business is no longer, quote, sustainable. Families of people staying at Nottingash Residential Home have 28 days to find new accommodation for them. Owner Claire Hancock said, "Considerable challenges, including workforce issues and increasing costs, forced her to make the, quote, regrettable decision." The care home on East Prescott Road looks after 29 patients, many of whom are living with dementia. It was hit with a requires improvement rating by health watchdogs after an inspection last June. However, it said people in the home spoke highly of staff who treated them with dignity and respect. Liverpool City Council said it will be helping residents to find new accommodation. A council spokesman confirmed the home will not close until everybody has found a new place to live, adding that there was sufficient capacity in care homes across the city to support those affected. Councillor Paul Brandt said, "We recognise that it can be a stressful and disconcerting time, which is why we always put in place detailed care plans to make sure the smoothest transition possible is made to another home, and for people to move together with their friends if at all possible. We will continue to provide ongoing support to residents and their families after they have moved to ensure that people have settled in their new home and that their needs are being appropriately met."
From the Echo, Monday, February the 11th. Platform rejig work shuts 9 more stations. 9 stations on Merseyrail's Northern Line will close today for 2 weeks to allow the next stage of platform upgrades to begin. The Southport to Formby section of the line, closed last week, will reopen, but now stations between Formby and Bank Hall will close. That means there'll be a rail replacement bus from Formby all the way into Liverpool. The work is being done to prepare the stations for the new trains that are being introduced next year. The stations that will be closed are Formby, Hightown, Hall Road, Blundell Sands and Crosby, Waterloo, Seaforth and Litherland, Bootle New Strand, Bootle Oriel Road and Bank Hall. Rail replacement buses are being laid on to run through all these stations to Sandhills and Moorfields. But passengers travelling to and from Hall Road are being warned that rail replacement bus services may be altered there because of work being done on the level crossing. There will also be an express bus between Formby, Waterloo and Moorfields. There will be a service to Sandhill stations on the Ormskirk and Kirby lines, and passengers travelling there are still being advised to change at Sandhills. The normal rail replacement buses will run every 15 minutes, with the express services running twice an hour, with more during rush hour periods. For more information, please visit www.merseyrail.org.
And I'm just going to read you a poem now out of Wednesday's Echo, February 13th, entitled "Yesterday Once More." So much laughter down in the street, us boys kicking a ball against the wall. Those memories I have just can't be beat, such a pleasure to recall. Girls playing hopscotch by the flats, some skipping with a rope. My mate's dog loves chasing cats, and my young mum just lives in hope. The ice cream van on its daily round excites us with its chimes. All the kids eagerly gather around. I love those crazy times. I see the ragman with his horse-drawn cart and hear him calling in the street. Mum brings old clothes that are falling apart, and I get a goldfish as a treat. The swinging 60s so long ago is a time I sometimes yearn for. I close my eyes, and what do you know? It's yesterday once more. And that's from Frank Hornby, Witness. And just a little bit of trivia before we end this evening's recording. Number 1 in the charts on this day in February 1956, we had Dean Martin with Memories Are Made of This. And 10 years later, in 1966, we had Nancy Sinatra with These Boots Are Made for Walking. So that'll give you something to hum along to now. And I'd like to say thank you. And that concludes this week's readings from a selection of local news from the Liverpool Echo. We thank them for permission to record their material, the Royal Mail for deliveries, and fellow volunteers working on the Liverpool Talking newspaper. When you have finished listening to the USB stick, place it and the address card in the yellow postal wallet and return it to us. There is no postage to pay. Talking newspapers are covered by the Articles for the Blind free post concession. If you wish to contact us by phone, the office staff are only in the office on Thursday and Friday mornings between 11:30 and between 9:30 and 11 a.m. Otherwise, please leave a message on the answer phone. Our telephone number is 0151 486 1400. As most of you seem to prefer putting messages in the wallets, you may continue to do so. Our editors for the magazine, news and Christian news teams would welcome feedback from listeners. It would be helpful to know if we are providing the items which you enjoy. So on behalf of everyone at the Talking newspaper, goodbye.